Hey, it's Elvis Duran. Just like you, I love listening to podcasts. Sort of like you're doing right now, right? But after you finish, when you're ready to hear the hits, I invite you to check out Z100, New York's #1 hit music station. We play the biggest songs from the biggest stars, like The Weeknd, Ed Sheeran, and Doja Cat. Listen live on Z100 in New York or wherever you are on our iHeartRadio app.
Hi there, I'm Zach Braff.
And I'm Donald Faison.
We're real-life best friends, but we met playing fake-life best friends, Turk and JD, on the sitcom Scrubs.
20 years later, we've decided to rewatch the series one episode at a time and put our memories into a podcast you can listen to at home.
We're going to get all our special guest friends like Sarah Chalk, John C. McGinley, Neil Flynn, Judy Reyes.
Show creator Bill Lawrence, editors, writers, and even prop masters will tell us about what inspired the series and how we became a family.
You can listen to the podcast Fake Doctors, Real Friends with Zach and Donald on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to 100 Words or Less, the podcast. Hopefully this week is going well for you. I am excited to be here. I am Ray Harkins. I'm your host, where you get to talk to people in independent music. And this month is a special month because we are focusing on the beautiful state of North Carolina. So North Carolina is, obviously a very, very vibrant music state and has produced a lot of incredible stuff. And I had a few interviews in the can with people who, came from that scene. And then I was like, you know what? Why don't we just wrap up this whole month and do a whole month on North Carolina, which is exactly what we're doing. So the first guest is Tommy Rogers, the vocalist from Between the Buried and Me, and also does his solo stuff. Tommy appeared on the show forever ago. This was maybe, 6 years or so ago. And still to date is one of the most popular episodes I've ever done. And Tommy and I, we were just talking, and I was like, hey, we should probably do another podcast because it's been quite some time for you. And he's like, yeah, you know what? That'd be fun. So we did it. We talked about, kind of the band's place right now. And, they've been a working class band for quite some time. And it's just interesting hearing people's perspectives that are living through it and are currently kind of like, well, me, I don't the band is still doing well, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know, I can't be doing this forever. So I don't know. It was a really, really insightful chat. And Tommy was great sharing some fun stories. So more on him in a moment. I hope you are doing well. I am doing, just okay. I'm not going to lie. I actually just recently started visiting a therapist, which I am incredibly excited about because, I'm just feeling very discontent in a lot of different things in my life. And being able to speak to a person, to have him or her in my case, be able to kind of walk me through these things and untangle some of the webs in my mind to be able to, get some peace, get some calm. It's been very, very insightful so far. It's only been 1 week. So I'm very excited to be working with her in regards to that. And for all of you who've reached out to me or encouraged me on social media, I really appreciate that. It's going to be a interesting couple of weeks for me because I definitely see some changes happening for me. So if you feel compelled, email me 100wordspodcast@gmail.com. I'd love to hear either words of encouragement or words of wisdom and insight from you. I'm an open book. My heart is very open from that perspective. So that is that. Let's just dive into the chat with Tommy. It was a great one. Like I said, we covered a lot of bases, covered his headspace, covered a lot of different stuff. So it's not more of the kind of, get to know you conversation. This is definitely getting, really inside this person's head. So that is what we got. And I'll talk to you, of course, after the episode is over, letting you know about what is upcoming next week. Okay. Now here's our discussion with Tommy. It's like you were saying before we were recording. It's been since 2012.
Yep.
Was the last time that we podcasted.
And it seemed like it was a year ago.
Right. It was like, that's right. And because we exist in each other's lives digitally, so it's like, we know what's happening.
Yeah.
And then upon further reflection, it was just like, oh yeah, like clearly a lot of things have changed. Like I think at that time you were impending for a child.
I think he was very new.
Right.
He was very new on the planet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were becoming calibrating.
Yeah, I was still trying to figure it out. And now I got it all figured out.
Right.
It's so easy.
Being a father, it's just like cruise control. Yeah, you don't really have to do anything anymore.
Yeah, at all.
Yeah. But I think it was like you, obviously less than a year. Because how old's your son now?
He's 7.
He's 7. Yeah, mine's 8. So I knew that it was around that juncture. So how weird is it?
It's well, when you sit down and think about it, it's very weird.
Right.
When you're not thinking about it, it's very normal and amazing in every way and all that. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy 7 years have gone by. It's crazy starting 2nd grade Monday. Like what?
Yeah.
3 weeks ago, I was hollering a microphone.
Right.
I don't know. It's all weird, man.
And there's nothing that is more time marking than a child.
Yeah.
Like because we still probably feel like we're 15 years old.
Well, yeah. Anybody that's in, a profession, or you hang around people that kind of stay in a similar, path, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
You feel like I still play shows all the time. Like I did that when I was 18. I'm 38.
Yeah.
I still feel like I'm 18, except I have a lot more responsibility and stress. It's weird how that is.
Yeah. But then like you are obviously able to mark off your like, I am indeed getting older. Not only obviously from like, you got gray hair or whatever, but like the idea that, this is a thing that was nothing. And then now is starting 2nd grade.
It's the child that makes time fly by, which is such a cliche, but it's so true.
Yeah.
And the band thing now, even, now compared to 10 years ago, we didn't plan, like we're already talking like mid 2020 right now.
Right.
So it's like.
Yeah, you're like, we're planning 8-9 months ahead.
Yeah, so in my mind, it's not even this year. And then when that comes, it's just going to.
Right. You're talking about 2021.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So because that's the way this business operates, time really flies.
Right. And then this was actually it dovetails perfectly into the question where it's like, you observing you guys, how I've obviously known you to be and have known you intimately since the, earliest days of the band. And then obviously watching as you've progressed, like, clearly you're a career band. Like you guys have flipped that proverbial switch to where it's like, okay, everybody is making a living off this thing. And you are, you're a part of the music industry, as it were. Is it like
joy?
Joy, absolute joy. So like when it was kind of like becoming apparent, because I mean, even when we talked in 2012, like, you guys were leading up to that.
Yeah.
And like you guys were achieving that to a certain extent. But like now it's obviously, 7 years later and even more in depth. As it started to kind of shift over to that, what were you feeling like? Nervous, anxious, excited that the fact that this dumb metal band from North Carolina, I'm sure it's a mixture of it all. But.
All of it, yeah. I mean, it's something, we've been so gradual. Nothing for us has been overnight. Right. It's been such a slow hill, but at least it's still a hill.
Right.
I think it's still a hill. Sure. We might be going down every once in a while, but that's just part of it. But I don't know, the second... it's all you have to get money and all you have to, when you have a family, all you have to support your family. It does bring on a tremendous amount of stress. And you have to walk that fine line of making good decisions to keep your life going well and making good creative decisions. So you have to somehow balance that and not have either affect each other. And I think that's the toughest part because... naturally you're like, okay, I need money. I got to do this. But it's like, if I rush this, it's going to sound like crap. And that's what's going to be stuck in people's ears the rest of our existence, So you have to kind of bring yourself down here and there and try to figure it out. It's just like being a parent. You can read books and you can hear what people tell you, but just doing it, you kind of figure out what works for you. And that's how it's been with the band.
Yeah.
It's still very stressful. We're definitely not in a position where it's like, let's take off 2-3 years. We're good, man.
Totally.
We can't do that.
You're a working band.
Yeah, we're a working band and we're, you hate to get stuck in like, a Groundhog Day thing where you put out a record, you do these tours, you do this, and then you start over, put out a record, which we do kind of get in that cycle.
18 to 24 month cycle.
Yeah, which everybody does, but it's like, so you got to find a way to keep things fresh, individually, as a band, as a business, and somehow make it all work financially and artistically. So, I mean, there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
So you could say there's some of those feelings there of stress and
yeah. Well, because I mean, your thoughts are, spot on from that perspective. Because I see it, you see how bands are able to, not only age gracefully and then obviously be able to still pursue their artistic vision. And you guys, have clearly, in my mind, you've been able to do that because you have ellipsed, any early trappings of obviously what the hardcore scene can place upon people, where it's just like, oh yeah, here's your ceiling. Like you guys will obviously creatively be able to push past that, way past that, to where it's just like, oh yeah, now you're just like kind of a progressive rock band.
Yeah,
and that obviously frees you up to be more expressive in yourself. But like you said, you always have to measure that with the fact that these are pursuits that you are doing that ultimately are going to create revenue, not only for yourself, but obviously so many other people that quote unquote depend on Between the Buried and Me camp.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And you have 5 different lives that are very different from one another. And I mean, luckily, I think we've lasted as long as we have and are still going strong is because, we get along.
Yeah.
And I think as
you actually like each other, right?
Yeah, we actually like each other.
It's crazy.
And we can, we understand that we all have kind of different opinions about decisions depending on our own circumstances. And I think just being open to that, it makes things a healthy environment,
Yeah, for sure.
We're lucky with that for sure. And
all right. So it's also interesting to me too, like, the fact that you guys have obviously captured more than just, a hardcore kid audience. Is the fact that, I have firsthand experience of this, like working at Century Media for as long as I did, where it's just like metal fans are dedicated.
Yeah.
Like once they find a band, they're like, you're my band.
Yeah.
And they'll follow you for many, many years. When you guys kind of started to notice that, I guess, scene embraced you guys so wholly, like did you, and frankly now it seems like that is the majority of your audience, would you say? Or is it?
Yeah. I don't know. It's tough to gauge that sort of thing.
Sure.
But yeah, I feel like we definitely have diehard fans, and we're lucky to be. We can do, any little thing, and they just want it, and we try to set up our tours in a way that gets people excited, and hopes of those people telling their friends and converting their friends to be like them and just be totally obsessed with us.
Right.
That's what's worked with us. We're very lucky in regards to that. And it's probably since Colors, I guess, or right after that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the early BT Bam fan, most of those people kind of left. I don't know if it was because we kind of changed pretty drastically or not, but I feel like we're slowly starting to get some of those people back. And, I don't know. It's really, like I said, it's really hard to tell,
right?
With so much on the internet, and so from your shows, all you can really you either know people if they're out there or not at the shows, or they're buying your albums and merch and all that.
Right.
So,
yeah. It is. I think that's what is able to make certain bands, obviously, sort of career bands, when you do kind of jump over, obviously, to a scene that has longer memories, but then you also just get people who are just music fans who are like, they don't come from the weird subcultures that we do, but they like the music, and then they just start to attach themselves.
Well, that's what was cool. Like, we did a tour, it was probably 12 years now, at least, with Dream Theater in Opeth. It was called Progressive Nation. And at that time, Opeth has aggressive vocals, but they didn't have the bizarre intensity we had, and every night it was kind of like walking on eggshells on stage. As far as the crowd, they were just mainly at me, just staring at me like, what the hell are you doing?
Right.
But that was kind of the beginning of those worlds kind of colliding, like the true quote unquote prog bands, and then these bands like us that are from the hardcore scene. We love death metal. We love all these, we're combining everything and making this kind of conglomerate of interesting music to us. Mm-hmm. And like from there, like over the years, we noticed so many of those people that were like, we started to get into, but we couldn't get into the vocals, but now we like love it. And you guys have introduced me to these bands. And now that the instrumental thing is getting real big, like that's kind of came from all those worlds. And, it's kind of cool to see, like we've been in it long enough to see evolution in a way. And we're kind of seeing different parts of our DNA or where we came from kind of branching off and creating whole new kind of subgenres. And it's cool to be a part of that, and cool to kind of watch that stuff happen, and hopefully we feel that we can still be a part of all those different worlds and somehow make sense, which is, we're lucky for that.
And it's also interesting too, because you guys have never been a band full of egos. Yeah. Like you're the most, self-deprecating, like you don't think your stuff is cool. Like you are proud of the stuff you put out, but you're like,
very proud of it.
Yeah, but
it's not cool.
Right. Right. But it's like, I think because of that too, that obviously makes you less precious in regards to the fact that you can grow older, but then you could be like, oh yeah, we'll play with these like early 20-year-old kids that are like, clearly influenced by us, but have taken it off into a whole different direction where it's just like, obviously the tour you're doing with Sean, it's like that sort of stuff is really, sometimes it takes bands a long time to get in that headspace, and sometimes like it's too late where they're like, oh, we got to play with the kids now to get in front of the kids. But like you guys have never,
we've never been weird about like, a few years ago, there were certain bands that, they wouldn't play with bands that weren't quote unquote cool. And I saw it kind of hurt their careers, or bands that people wouldn't play with bands they don't personally like a lot. Yeah, you have to get past that.
Right. Your own personal taste.
Yeah, we're not playing, like, no offense, we're not playing with my favorite bands on the planet, but it's fine. Like you gotta. And if a band is younger than you and playing after you, who cares? Right. Like these little things don't matter. But yeah, I think we're in a spot now. Me personally, I'm like constantly trying to find new music that works with us. Not even just in our genre, because I feel like there's 5 bands right now, like, that we can tour with.
Sure.
And I think a lot of bands kind of fall into that. You're like, every tour you're like, okay, we can tour with this band or that band. Even your fan, I'm sure our fans have noticed we tour with a lot of the same bands. And
you guys playing more shows with the Contortionists. Cool. Yeah,
exactly. And,
totally.
No offense to anyone. I love those guys, but we've toured with them a lot. And there's a lot of bands we've toured with a lot. And it's like, we're trying to find fresh blood. We're trying to find... even there's so much good music, even in hardcore, even in like the weird industrial stuff that's coming out now, which is super close to my heart because I love that stuff.
Yeah.
And, it's like, can we kind of get in that world? Will we be accepted at all or not? But those are the things I kind of want to like pursue a little more in the future and kind of see if, because that's how we have always operated. We've always kind of like not been super comfortable, and not saying that we are getting comfortable, but I feel like we're kind of going down the same path over and over. And I want to find some new ways to, find new bands and play with different kinds of bands.
Well, it's also like, I didn't even think about it in those terms, but like it wouldn't make sense to a lot of people, but like it would make sense to people who have obviously paid attention to your evolution, where it's just like, say in 2020 you guys played, This Is Hardcore, whatever, like it, like that. I know, but like that's a stretch, but it's like, you could ostensibly be like, oh yeah, like we'll obviously pull out our Earth Crisis cover, like we are clearly still part of this because that's who we are and who we always will be. But it's like it does you especially like you're talking about, where it's like when you get comfortable with the kind of like, section that you're in and you pull from the same sort of things, then it does. Yeah. Then you just get to be like, oh yeah, like I feel like we're repeating ourselves, not artistically, but just kind of the business opportunities we pursue.
Yeah. And, and when I sit back, which is rare, it's normally before tours or stuff, and sit back and kind of analyze the songs we're playing and stuff. Yeah, like we still don't, like, even in our little corner, we don't sound like the bands in our corner.
It's true.
And I'm like, we can reach out to so much stuff maybe we did in the past.
Right.
I mean, it might not be the best idea, but I feel like we've always just kind of tried new things, and,
You want to continue that.
I want to continue doing that.
Yeah. That actually, and this is something I'm sure you noticed as well, where it's like I'll tell you a story of, that band Covet.
Yep.
So I went to go see them. They played at the Observatory just right down the street. And in the big room was Quicksand and Glassjaw.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to see, Quicksand and Glassjaw, like, huge bands for me. But I was like, I've seen both of them. Like, I have not seen Covet. And they were playing with that band, like Vasu Veda or whatever. They're from New Jersey. Incredible band. But I had never heard of them up until that night. It was one of those, like, 15-year-old kid moments where I was like, where's this band from? Like,
I had a moment, like a similar moment. Keep going, but I'll explain mine in a minute.
Please. But so anyways, the interesting part was that, it was in the Constellation Rooms with a small room. Mm-hmm. Show was completely sold out, like kids out the door. And then the Quicksand Glassjaw show, like, there was like not very many people there. Yeah. And I know that tour did not perform well overall. Really? Yeah, from what I understand. So
isn't that weird? That's so weird.
Well, but that's what made me feel. It made me feel weird in a lot of different respects. One, like, I was like by far the oldest person in the room there at that show, but at the same time, I was like, man, it feels cool to be able to witness this youthful, very energetic, very intricate music. Like, because the idea is that when you're younger, you don't listen to complicated music or whatever. But it's like looking at this where it's just like, dude, these are all instrumental bands, like, and just killing it. And then it was like, oh, there's a bunch of dusty old guys in the bigger room or whatever. That of course, I'm just making fun of that idea, but I'm sure it's really interesting for you to kind of witness that. Like, people have always obviously been impressed with your band's technicality. But then the fact that, like, as you get older, you obviously have to, like, quote unquote, top yourself in many different respects. And so I don't know. There's a lot of different thoughts in there. But anyways, tell me about your. Yeah,
there's a lot.
But tell me about you. Tell me about your. You can respond to that, but tell me about your, like, aha moment.
It was that band Horror.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I saw Dead Cross because I'm a huge Mike Patton fan. And my wife and I went, and, I was, the typical, I'm just ready for Dead Cross. I didn't care. And I was like, what is this horror band? Whatever. Yeah. And they blew my mind, like, absolutely blew my mind.
Sure.
So much that I was like, during their set, I was overanalyzing everything I do, everything I'm going to do.
Yeah, you're like, what is this band?
I'm like, I need to, it's so raw. It's so much energy. It like grabbed the young 16-year-old in me, like how I used to feel when I went to, VOD shows back in the day. It was like, God, and still, like, I haven't seen them live since. They're great on record, but live, I was just like...
Hey, it's Elvis Duran. Just like you, I love listening to podcasts. Sort of like you're doing right now, right? But after you finish, when you're ready to hear the hits, I invite you to check out Z100, New York's #1 hit music station. We play the biggest songs from the biggest stars, like The Weeknd, Ed Sheeran, and Doja Cat. Listen live on Z100 in New York or wherever you are on our iHeartRadio app.
It was in Santa Ana, Constellation Room, the bigger room, whatever.
The bigger room, yeah.
And sold out crowd. Nobody knew who they were, and they just tore the house down.
That's amazing.
And I was just like,
right.
And from a performer, like, I've played many shows in a sold out room that's not a crowd at all, and I did not tear the house down. It was the most awkward thing ever, and to see them just overcome that and just be like, fuck this.
Right. This is what we are about.
Yeah.
You have to reckon with this.
Yeah.
Right.
It's crazy music. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
They put the crowd in uncomfortable situations, and it was so awesome.
Cool. Oh boy, I'm excited to tell you about Bridge 9 Records, which of course, if you are involved in independent music, you know what's up with Bridge 9, one of the best hardcore labels around. And they have some amazing pre-orders currently. First of all, Agnostic Front, New York City hardcore legends. I had Roger Murray on the show, I don't know, maybe about a year and a half, 2 years ago. They have a new record coming out, but Bridge 9 has a limited edition 7-inch, limited to 2,000 pieces. They have a exclusive B-side called You're Gonna Pay. Let's listen to a little bit of that right now, and I will, of course, tell you a little bit more.
Well, let's get right back to this.
Dude, how good is that, right? Well, you can pre-order that 7-inch right now. It's limited to only 2,000 copies, so you should probably hop on it. And they also have The Godfathers of Hardcore, which if you have not seen that film, please hop on it. It is spectacular. I think they had it on Showtime for a little bit, and I watched it there. It was so good. And they have a pre-order for that Blu-ray disc, plus a limited edition gatefold 7-inch from Agnostic Front, and they also have limited edition t-shirts. Such cool stuff. So you need to go to bridge9.com, and you'll be able to find all those pre-orders there. It's a great label, continually putting out amazing music over the years, and I just love Bridge 9, so I couldn't be more excited to tell you about them. So bridge9.com. Find all the pre-orders. Agnostic Front going on now. Now, here's the rest of the show. I'm sure you've noticed where it's just like it is interesting to see these younger people that are playing really challenging music, and then the kids that are coming out are like, I mean, they're very young.
Yeah, I know. I guess the weirdest thing about getting older is you think that everyone is like you. So sure. You feel like they're like, there's no more bands that are young anymore. That
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of bands kind of get trapped into that, and just like we were saying earlier, they play with the bands that are in their little corner. But yeah, I mean, I think just trying to keep your ear to the ground and still being interested in what's coming out every week and all the bands that people are caring about is, I think, very essential and important for what we do. There's a lot of guys, even guys in between the Bear to Me, that don't really listen to music that much, and it just blows my mind because I'm still constantly last night, Thursday at midnight, like what's out, let's see, like what is going on, and it's cool. Like our guy doing merch for us now, he's 24, and he's like way in that world, like just in touch with everything. And it's really fun to sit down with him and kind of just
nerd out about music.
Yeah, nerd out about music, and it's unbelievable how much he knows. Not being that may sound weird, but he knows stuff that I wouldn't think a 24-year-old would listen to or know about. Stuff from my childhood, and just the fact that people still care about Paul, my first band, Prayer for Cleansing, and and all these bands that we grew up on that were very small, and to hear that there's like a lot of that stuff's coming back in a big way, or certain other kinds of musical trends are coming back, and it's just kind of cool to not be oblivious to that. I guess that's what I'm trying to say is still care about what new music's coming out.
Sure,
especially if that's what you do for a living.
Well, especially too, because the idea is that, I mean, of course, younger bands are always going to be like, in awe of older bands. Like, and when I say older bands, it's not like, it's like, you can be literally like 3 years older than them, and that's like an older band, you know. But the communication that they can have with a band that is older than them, like you're intimidated, but like it's a different story if you, Tommy Rogers from Between the Buried to Me, quote unquote, reached down to a younger person and was like, "Hey, I like your band." Like they'd be like, "Oh my," like that's meaningful to them in the same way that when that stuff happened to you when you were 17, 18 years old, you're like, "Oh, dude, there's no way I can talk to anybody in VOD or whatever." But like having them be like, "Oh, hey, Tommy, I like your your metalcore band," and you'd be like, "What?"
Yeah,
like,
I know.
So it's like having that, being able to do that, and like offer bands tours and stuff like that, and being dialed in, like that's really not only meaningful from like keeping scenes active or whatever, but it's also meaningful because they're people are intimidated. The kids are like, I can't reach up to this band. Like,
but I think it goes both ways. I think there's an intimidation on my side as well. Like even, I'm not even talking about how many people you draw or like what your status is as far as the business side of it. To me, it's like, okay, there's this band in this like particular genre that I think is really cool, but it's like a cool genre, quote unquote, and it's like,
totally,
I'm not part of that. Like I'm totally intimidated to reach out to them because I'm this uncool old guy.
Right.
That's what's in my head. I mean, that's probably not accurate at all.
No.
But I think it works both ways. Like, they're like, oh, this guy's super established. There's no way they would take a band out like us. Where I'm like, oh my God, these guys are so hungry. Like, what they're doing is fucking mind-blowing to me. Like, I'm intimidated by their, workflow or the way they're presenting their band. Or, there's certain things that impress me that make me feel that way. And I think no one would ever know that or think that's the case at all. But I think anybody that's really in touch with, or anybody that really just loves music in general and is constantly trying to find that I think that happens more than you would think.
No, I'd
for
say
sure.
That is a very valid point, because there are, especially too, when it's like you don't, and I think some of that comes from the insecurity of like the word poser doesn't mean anything anymore, but like
that's the perfect word,
right?
Yeah,
like because
like no one uses that, but that's like my insecure self is like they're gonna think I'm this poser,
right?
Yeah, like
totally,
yeah.
Where it's like Tommy Rogers likes Vane, reaches out to Vane, is like, you know what, you guys are doing is real cool. They're like, whatever, dude. Yeah. Like, but it's like I just use that as a random example, but it's just like that's the sort of ideas where it's just like, oh yeah, like I just really like your band, and like sometimes there is that feeling of like, yeah, I don't want to feel like I'm just like this guy airdropping on their band, and
like I mean, Hara is a perfect example. If I met one of those dudes, I'd be nervous. I'd be like,
dude, I saw you. You're really good.
Yeah, you're really good. You guys are cool. I play music too. Yeah.
I've played a band for like 15 plus years. Yeah, it's fine. But yeah, it's like it's true. Most people don't,
because that nervous fan never leaves.
It never leaves.
Like I've met people in the past and had that happen.
Right. You're just tripping over your words, right?
Yeah. I play music.
Yeah, it's cool. No big deal.
Yeah. Because how do you say to someone how do you say I'm legit without sounding like a fucking asshole,
total
or
douche,
B just like, what are you talking about? There's no way to be like, so yeah, I do the same thing as you, and I've been doing it for a really long time, and like I'm not just like some dude wanting you to hear my band. I actually do this for a living, and like how do you do that? You can't do that.
You're preloading the conversation.
Yeah.
You're spending like a 5-minute preamble.
Yeah.
This person's just looking at you being like, okay, like what your point is. You're like, well, I'm just saying this because like I feel like you would judge me differently.
I like that the fan never leaves. Okay, I'm going to put myself on blast. So my wife and I, she's since become friends with him and some people, but we met Mike Patton, right?
Sure.
And I did one of those moments. I think I said if she hears this, she's going to laugh at me, but she still makes fun of me. I don't even know why this came up. I told him that I'm friends with Ben and Greg from Dillinger.
It's great.
You know what I'm saying?
Like my calling card.
Yeah, like I know people. Yeah, we have, but it came out totally like in my head. I was like, yeah, we have these things in common. There's lots of people that I'm good friends with, that you're good friends with.
Right.
I've worked together.
You're my credentials.
Yeah, like but we were in a situation where it was like a 5-second chat. So you can't do that. You can't do that.
No.
So I instantly, it like happened, and I was totally just weird lurker guy, and I was awkward. Obviously, I mean, I've been in those situations a million times, and I still am like, why the fuck did I do that? Yeah, like who gives a shit if I know some people you know?
No,
but in my mind, I was like, oh, he won't think I'm just a fanboy.
Totally.
But I am a fanboy.
You are. Right?
Yeah.
But you are, you were trying to, you're, I think ultimately those sort of conversations are you just attempting to make a real connection.
Yeah.
That's ultimately what it is.
But you don't have the time to, so there's no point even trying.
Right.
Because you can't make a quick, it's not like somebody's going to meet, an actor that they really like, at a coffee shop, and in that 10-second, they're not going to be friends.
Right. Like, can I have your number? I'll text you.
Yeah. Maybe we'll hang out next week.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
No, swing and a miss. Just take that 2-minute interaction.
So I learned something from that.
That's true.
Hopefully he'll never hear this or know that happened.
Yeah, it's fine. Well, I'm sure he's encountered that a million times over in the same way that you've encountered it 1,000 times.
And I learned a lot from that moment. And,
I appreciate you being honest and vulnerable, because I think that it just shows that no matter what, like we're all this weird fanboy. No matter what.
That's very true.
This will make you laugh, because our last podcast is still one of my most popular podcasts of all time.
Really?
And I mean, it hit at an interesting time where, I mean, podcasting was becoming a little more well-known or whatever. But I think the feedback that I got from people, and frankly still randomly get from people, on our particular episode was just like, because obviously you were sharing about your life, and then you were sharing.
I don't really remember, but
I mean, yeah, we essentially
I don't listen to
no
interviews I do. So
yeah, it's fine. Yeah, but I mean, essentially we walked through your life and kind of hit on a lot of personal stuff.
Yeah,
where you're not afraid to do that.
Yeah,
but you typically don't do that.
Yeah.
And I that is why I attribute people caring about that episode, because they were just like, oh, here's some nuggets that I have never heard about Tommy expressing himself. Is that I mean, I've always known you to be open and honest. I mean, of course, like we related on a friend level first, and then, everything else. But is that kind of your, like, when people are sort of approaching you to like know you, from a sort of fan to band interaction, is that kind of your not your default that you're like, oh, I'm closed off and I'm kind of putting up a wall, but how does that kind of, like, how do those interactions?
Time and place.
Okay.
I mean, it's kind of like my story with
Sure.
Mike Patton. Like, you can't. There's not going to be like a lengthy chat about personal stuff when you meet someone ever.
No.
In every situation, regardless if it's a fan or an artist or anything. But yeah, I mean, I think time and place is super important. I don't know. I guess part of me is company. Like, obviously, I'm more comfortable talking to someone I've known for years and slept on their floor, in the past and done stuff like that, So, and in my mind, like, nobody's going to hear this.
Yeah, we're just hanging out. Right.
So I don't. But I've always been very. I don't know. I'd like to think that I'm a very honest person, and I don't have anything to hide. Mm-hmm. I don't. I'm not trying to be a certain way at all. I'm just kind of who I am. So I guess it's never really bothered me to answer questions. It's just if I'm asked it, I'm not going to just give information for the hell of it.
Sure.
To create like buzz or
here's my 10-minute bio.
Clickbait, or it's like if someone who's interviewing me doesn't ask me questions to to open me up for anything, then I'm not going to talk about it. Yeah. I generally don't like talking about myself. Even like on a just hanging out with people. I'm not one of those guys like, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm. Yeah. I don't even like to tell people I'm in a band, really.
Right.
Like if I'm in an Uber, I do not want to tell you what I do for a living. That's the last thing I want to do. Right.
Yeah.
So it's just time and place. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I like I said, I found that interesting where it's like that was the sort of feedback I got overall. It was just like, oh, like, you got Tommy to open up. And I was just like, well, like, he just doesn't, I mean, if people are asking about like his music, like, of course he's going to talk about his music as opposed to like, well, apropos of nothing, I was raised in North Carolina. Are you aware of that? Like, it's like
you're gonna come up to me at a coffee shop and be like, so let's get real personal.
It's like what? No, that's a weird vibe. Yeah. And I guess kind of on top of that, what do I'm sure over time you have been able to see how people kind of perceive you. And, once you get of a certain age, you kind of become aware of like I know generally speaking, people are like, oh yeah, Ray, like super nice guy. Like that's my persona. And I know, and I know that is who I am. How do people kind of, I guess, perceive you to be? Like, I mean, I have my own estimations.
That's tough.
But like, how is that, if that's ever been reflected back on you?
Paul says I'm not fun anymore.
Okay. Have you ever been fun though? Well, you've always struck me as the guy where it's like this. I will give my own 2 cents.
Okay.
You've always struck me as the guy where it's just like you are friendly, you are outgoing to a point.
Yeah.
Like you're like, I am not going to be the guy that
time and place. Yeah.
Right. But you're not going to be the guy that walks in the room where it's just like, okay, here's Tommy sucking all the air out of the room.
No.
Like you'll see people will see you arrive.
Yeah.
But they're not going to be like, oh.
I think I'm quiet, and I think I've gotten this most of my life. People think, like even Dusty, our guitarist, when he first met me, he thought I was an asshole because, I have kind of my default face is kind of asshole looking, like
sure your resting face,
So I'm quiet, and and I'm kind of standoffish when I first meet people because I'm not one of those people that just gets in your face. I'm like, here I am, look at me. So I think a lot of people's first impression is that of me if it's not a social situation where I'm actively talking or being part of it. But I don't know. I mean, over the years I've definitely I think I'm more to myself now than I was, especially, I guess I'm speaking on the road.
Yeah.
On the road, I'm a lot more to myself than I used to be, mainly because that's my time. Like, when I'm home, it's like,
You're there.
Constantly, with my son and my wife, and it's like I don't really have much time to just kind of sit there in silence. So when I get on the road, I walk around by myself, I eat by myself. Like, it's kind of like my moment.
Your recharge time.
Yeah, recharge time. So I think some people see that and it's like they think I don't like the band or something. It's like, no, I'm just kind of doing my own thing sometimes.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know. It's tough. That's a tough question because
Because
I want to be as honest as I possibly can. Because I hate to go back to the time and place thing, but I think I'm very friendly when the time is right. But at the same time, I think my social anxieties kind of take over sometimes, and I do get standoffish, especially with a lot of fans. I just kind of lock up, and I don't know how to act, and it just makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
To be completely honest, to like get bombarded or like just to be talked to like I'm not just some normal ass dude makes me feel uncomfortable.
Right.
And obviously it's part of the territory, and I should never complain about that, but for me to be completely honest, to be like, in some instances, that's why I seem like I'm kind of like standoffish, or I run away from those situations, because I am known to. I'm not out and about trying to.
You're not hanging out by the merch.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. That's just not how I am, and like. I don't know. I mean, I like beat myself up about it, and I know sometimes it bums the dudes out in the band that I'm not a little more outgoing in that way. But I just, as I've gotten older, I'm like, that's kind of just how I am when it comes to that, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
And if people want to judge me a certain way, that's fine. Like,
right.
Yeah,
I can't. You can't concern yourself with that. Yeah. I mean, honestly, and to this point too. The idea of, because you guys do obviously some of those, VIP packages and stuff like that. But
sometimes,
right. But when I say VIP packages, it's like it's merch and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Rather than like, hang out with the band. Before.
We've done stuff like that. Yeah. See that? I think it's because from where we're from, it's weird to be like, pay to meet me.
Right.
That's weird to me.
Right.
But we've tried to in the past like incorporate other bands like. One time I toured Devin Townsend, we did like a full tour Q&A thing, like where it was like, oh, it's kind of a cool way for fans to get some, questions. Ask some questions. Where there is a time and place. It's not this weird, awkward moment like,
totally.
I knew Ben and Greg from Dillinger. It's like you can actually talk to these people. So it's like, I think that's cool, but
Hey, it's Elvis Duran. Just like you, I love listening to podcasts. Sort of like you're doing right now, right? But after you finish, when you're ready to hear the hits, I invite you to check out Z100, New York's #1 hit music station. We play the biggest songs from the biggest stars, like The Weeknd, Ed Sheeran, and Doja Cat. Listen live on Z100 in New York or wherever you are on our iHeartRadio app.
As a band, we don't want that to be like an every tour thing. Like we don't want people to expect that from us,
right?
Because that's what happens is you do it every single tour, and then it's not special anymore.
No,
And I think everything's like that now. It's like if you do the exact same thing every time, then it's always expected of you.
Right. Yeah, and you definitely have to balance it out where it's like you have to make yourself scarce in certain instances, but at the same time, then you obviously also have to balance out the fact that like, well, touring is obviously where we make all of our income.
Yep,
it's like you have to make sure that it's special, but then there is a component of like, oh yeah, we haven't been here in like 18 months or something or whatever. But yeah.
In a world where everyone is confined to their homes, society begins its largest binge watch to date. In the hallowed library of Hulu, or perhaps on a shelf of DVDs you haven't looked at in a decade, is a show that perfectly encapsulates life in the early aughts and launched a friendship that would inspire millions. Hi, I'm Zach Braff.
And I'm Donald Faison.
In 2001, we starred in Scrubs, a sitcom that revealed a glimpse of what it was like to survive a medical internship. As Turk and JD, we explored guy love.
Nearly 20 years later, a lot has changed. We're not Supermen, but we're still best friends. Given the mandatory lockdown, there's no better time to relive the series that brought us together in the first place. And we're doing it with a podcast.
That's right, people. We're going to bring friends and crew members and fellow cast members and writers. And guess what? We're going to even invite some of you to call into the podcast and ask all the questions you want of the entire Sacred Heart staff.
Join us for Fake Doctors, Real Friends on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts.
So when you do your solo projects, because obviously outside of the context of Between the Buried and Me, like, you know, you're prolific. Like, you've done a lot of stuff outside of the band. And most people, you know, expect some version of you when you're doing, I mean, they are getting a version of you, but most people expect to see some seedlings of what you do in Between the Buried and Me. But you've always not. Like, you've incorporated bits and pieces of it.
Yeah, I think you can hear, like,
you
moments
can hear
in
you.
it. Yeah.
But the, I guess the inspiration of being creative outside of the context of your band is just the simple expression of, like, I still need to create. I still need to, because these musical expressions cannot exist in Between the Buried and Me. So this is how I have to get it out.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, most of it is like a way for me to be creative on the road during the day-to-day.
Sure.
Rather than, you know, watching Netflix or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like trying to write, you know, there's days that just doesn't work out. But I just try to, I've gotten in that routine ever since Max was born. You know, when I get on the road is, you know, that's my free time, freaking get some shit done.
Yeah.
So I would always write, you know, try to write every day. If it feels good. And yeah, I still do it. You know, I try to. There's tours. I mean, there was not this last tour, but one before I didn't write at all. Yeah. I think the key for me is just finding when it feels good and when it feels forced and going from there. But yeah, I mean, there's so much stuff that pours out into that material that's so different from one another. And I'm sure a lot of people, it feels kind of disjointed because it is, especially my last record, it's just a lot of different ideas and songs. And
yeah, you're trying a bunch of stuff out.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, but for me, when I hear it, it doesn't sound that way. It seems very normal, but I get it. But it is just stuff that I need to get out that, not that it doesn't work for Between the Buried and Me, it just doesn't, I don't see it working. I mean, sometimes I'm sure things could have been something, but other times stuff comes out of stuff that didn't work with Between the Buried and Me, like that was actually, you know, we tried to incorporate.
Right, but it just didn't fit. Yeah.
Which, but yeah, I mean, I still just, like, even as quote unquote, like, progressive and, like, forward moving Between the Buried and Me is, the solo stuff is really the sky's the limit for me. And it's super liberating.
Sure.
Like, I can
paint with any brush you want.
Literally do anything, and like,
and it's funny because, like you said,
three people will at least like it. So.
Right. Well, it's funny because then people would look at Between the Buried and Me, they're just like, oh yeah, dude, it's like, obviously you can do anything you want in that band. Yeah. It's just like, well, yeah, there's a limit.
If we did this, a lot of people would not be stoked.
This is.
There's always that. I mean, as a musician, you always try to never be like, what are the fans like? But, you know, you don't want to alienate too much. It's like, I mean.
Right. Or if it's just like your individual expression without hearing anybody else's voice.
Yeah, it's nice. I think anybody that's ever done an actual solo record, it's just, once you get past, like, the vulnerability stage, it's such a breath of fresh air because there's no pressure, really.
Sure.
Like, if people don't like it, I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
That's cool. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, it was fun. You know, I loved the writing and the recording of it. And, it's just, it's like therapy for me in a way, I guess.
Yeah, it makes sense. With your relationship with tour now, like you said, I mean, obviously it's evolved over time to where it's like now you in many different respects, you can use this as obviously your free time, whereas like people that, you know, don't have obligations at home are just like, oh yeah, what are you talking about free time? It's like, So has your relationship with tour evolved to where it's like, I'm sure you obviously know you have to do it and it sucks to leave your wife and child, But how, like, I guess, do you still, like, do you enjoy aspects of it still? I'm sure to a certain extent, but like, how does your relationship with tour kind of interact now?
The day-to-day is still tough for me.
Yeah.
It's weird when I feel very creative and I'm writing a lot, it tends to feel better for me.
Okay.
I think for me, like the show aside, at the end of the day, when I get in bed, is like I either feel like a day was like a total waste, or I got a lot done and it felt really good. Like I said, the show aside,
sure.
So yeah, that's definitely changed over the years. I mean, it's just one of those things. There's people where when you're home, that's your free time, and you're aching to get on the road to, be with your friends and explore the world and travel. Where me, it's like I love my friends, I love being with them every day, but there needs to be like some productivity on my end and some silence and relaxation and stuff. So,
and do you find yourself? Do you go out of your way to like see stuff? Because I like. Yeah, I mean, as far as like, I like to walk and listen to music, which is dangerous a lot of times. Right.
For years I was wearing in-ears and walking around, and I felt you
shut up.
I felt like I was in a movie. It was this beautiful thing. Till one day in Salt Lake City, a fan came up and just grabbed me on the shoulder. Like it was kind of a street where there was nothing around, like literally nothing. It was kind of run down, and this dude grabbed me. Basically, just I guess he was been talking to me, or coming towards me, but I thought it was somebody jumping me or something. So from then on, I'm like, okay, maybe
I can't shut up that much.
Yeah, I was like, I need to at least put like shitty Apple headphones in or something so I can hear like what's going on.
Right.
Because my wife always gave me shit anyway. She's like, it's just dangerous that you're cutting yourself off like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, it's
whatever.
I feel like I'm in a movie, and
I love that.
But
yeah,
that scared the shit out of me. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, man, what's up?
Yeah. Oh, geez, I was in my own world.
Nice to meet you. So yeah, his viewpoint of like how I am, maybe like I'm a spaz and totally. I want to fight the fans.
Right. Yeah. You're like, what? You're like, I was busy listening to music.
Scared the shit out of me.
I can imagine. Yeah.
But I mean, on stage, it's weird how that's changed for me. In the earlier days, if the show was crazy, if the crowd was amazing, that was all I cared about.
Yeah,
the energy. I like. I used to live for that. And now it's weird. Like, what determines my good and bad show is more internal, and like, I beat myself up a lot, and I think it's because of where our music has evolved to, and like where my vocals have evolved to, and like if I have a good night, I enjoyed the show. But it could be the best show ever, like from an outside perspective. But if I felt horrible or something, it's horrible for me. And
it's a write-off.
I totally like shut down. And yeah, it's not healthy. I know that.
Sure, but it's tough. Yeah,
but
it's tough to get outside.
I try to work on every tour. So.
But then also, I mean, to your point too, you are looking at what you can control, which is obviously to the best of your ability for performance.
Yeah.
So it's like that's almost kind of like a Zen-like state where you're just like, okay, well, as long as I do the best, and of course I messed up these times, and of course I'll beat myself up, but like I can't control how the crowd's going to react to us. Yeah. I can't control how many people are going to be here. Yeah. So I just need to focus on what I can control.
True. Yeah.
That's I'm just trying to give you the positive thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And I think part of it too is that we were talking about earlier, like the younger generations come up. It's like fuck these younger dudes. Everybody's like well trained and they're
for sure
phenomenal players and singers and I'm like this dude that just kind of figured it out slowly as I was
absolutely
and you tell yourself, you're like, you're not shit. You can't sing like these guys. But
totally,
you're like, but I have an okay career.
Yeah,
these are the things that I battle with. And it's
sure. Like, well, everybody feels imposter syndrome. Yeah. I don't care what it is you're doing, or if you are being. It doesn't even have to have anything to do with creativity, like in jobs or whatever you're walking into. You're always just like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
I don't belong here.
Yeah.
Like, and so there's no, like when, especially I mean, everybody compares themselves to other people. And so it's like you're looking,
And it's so unhealthy to do that.
It is.
I'm so aware of my flaws when it comes to all that. Like, I'm so aware of it. And I try to work on it. And, I've talked about it in podcasts before. Like, I've worked with, like, the singer of Tesseract, for instance. Like, he's a very, like, he teaches people how to sing. He's a phenomenal teacher. So I was having a really tough tour with them, and I was like, dude, can you like help me?
Yeah.
Like, and we sat together, and he like really helped me like a lot.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Like, thanks, Dan. So yeah,
right.
It was great. Yeah. I mean, cause we just did this tour with Contortionists, and I mean, I felt the best. Like, I had very few nights where I got on the bus and was like, I had those moments of failure and like I needed to shut myself off. Like, I felt pretty good every night.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It's good for my personal, chi and, the people around me. I don't want people to feed off me being bummed about myself,
Sure.
So, yeah.
It gets you in a good headspace. It's really cool. And
it taught me like how I should have done that fucking years ago.
Yeah.
Like, I should have opened up about that. Like, I think singers in general kind of don't ever talk about that stuff and keep it like in. But I think everybody, I mean, the fact to me that, Devin Townsend, he's a dear friend of mine. He talks shit about himself, and I'm like, what are you talking about,
dude,
man?
You're good.
Like, like, I don't think I've ever heard you hit a bad note, which is infuriating on my end. Like, God, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's in everyone.
Totally. Well, I always make the joke where it's just like, like every band obviously always looks at like the band of the next level, but it's just like, to where you can go up the ladder where you're just like, Coldplay, Chris Martin, he's like, having breakfast one morning and he's just like, God damn it, I wish I could be you too. And you're just like, you're Coldplay, dude. Yeah. Like, and so it's like, but for sure,
it's him being like, I wish I could be some band that's not big. It's like,
that's true.
What we were talking about earlier. Like,
I
wish I could do what that guy's doing.
Right. What 21 Pilots, they seem to be doing well.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure those are the things.
Right. These guys are trying to, not like saying that, Chris Martin is some egotistical maniac, but he's just like, these guys are coming trying to eat Coldplay's lunch. And it's just like, what?
And it's weird for me, like, I never have moments where I'm comparing myself to others. Like, I'm not like, I wish I could sing like this guy. I wish I could sing like that guy. I guess it's the public's perception. It's like, I want to get up there and I want everyone to be like, man, he did a great job.
Yeah, totally.
Which it's lame to think that way, but it's totally
validation. Yeah. It's just the simple recognition, like the pat in the back, whatever we want to call it. Like, I don't care, introvert, extrovert, whoever you are. Like, everyone desires that.
And I think like the moment, because I try to think about like when that, because it hasn't always been that way.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, even back when I consider myself to be like a terrible singer, I didn't feel that way. I was just like, yeah, it was great, like oblivious.
Totally.
But I think a lot of it was my first Giles record, my solo. I think that was the moment that I was kind of, I don't want to say I was like a cocky dude, but everything up to that point, it's like people, I mean, there wasn't really, the internet wasn't crazy yet.
Totally.
So all I had were people around me. So
feedback
like,
loop.
Everybody's everything you do is cool. Like, you're in this cool new band, I'm like, oh, cool. I'm going to do this fucking weird electronic record that's like stupid and everybody's going to love it.
Yep.
And it came out and it was like, this sucks, like across the board, right?
Sure.
And so I instantly it was horrible for me. Like, I was like, oh my God, I've never had to like endure such criticism. But now when I look back, that was such an important part of like my career, was writing that terrible record, which I understand it was. But I learned like how to deal with criticism so much because it was all at once.
Yeah.
And just like,
and you were the focal point. Like, there was nothing else. Exactly. Like, it was you and you alone. You had to reckon
back,
with
I'm
that.
like, how did I think that was going to work out? Like, I was in like a grindcore weird, like whatever band.
Sure.
Between the Bear and Me then.
Yep.
And it's like a
you're right.
weird electro clash. Like,
yeah.
And in my mind, I'm like,
dude, of course.
Blow up.
You'll like yeah. So, like, of course you'll like it.
Yeah.
This thing, yeah.
So I think that was when I was like, okay, you're not the hot shit, buddy.
Yeah, totally. You got let's take this in perspective.
Let's take it down a notch.
Yeah.
Let's take things one thing at a time. And and then it took me, who knows how long till my first proper solo record in my mind. And it was hard for me to even attempt that again because of that.
Sure. Still licking your wounds.
I was kind of scared. Yeah.
I get that. The last two things I want to hit on was the idea that, because of what you have been able to accomplish from a musical perspective, that so many people obviously focus on the fact they like, the music, they like the technicality of it, they like, how complex your song structures are and stuff like that or whatever. Mm-hmm. You've always been, lyrically, emotionally rooted in the expression of emotion.
Yeah.
And so many people, especially from a metal perspective, like they don't like that. Those two worlds don't mesh very well. Yeah. And so, but you've always been a very, emotional lyric writer and like what you're penning. So do you feel like that still, I guess, gets kind of lost? I mean, I'm speaking in generalities, but it gets like lost on most fans of Between the Buried and Me, or do you feel like a solid subset like are identifying the fact like, oh yes, there's emotion in this band, yes they shred, and yes they do all this other stuff?
Cool. I think there's like a little corner that really dives into the lyrics, and I'm lucky for that for sure.
Because you get what I'm saying, right?
Right? I know
like
exactly what you're saying.
Okay.
I mean, I think lyrics, in metal, it's something that's always kind of been looked over and not really paid much attention to. But yeah, I mean, I think just over the years, how I've kind of constructed stories and I've tried to somehow, once I started doing that, kind of create, emotion within those stories and things that people can kind of grasp on and, help them in their everyday thing. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of people that really care about that still. And I'm lucky that wave is there's kind of been, I feel like metal now, or just, I don't even know, I hate doing genres, but
sure.
I mean, just the world we're in, I think the lyrics are very important. And I think, it's good to see that it's kind of gotten to that place.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
It's cool to see keyboards in heavy music and things that were all frowned upon back when we were doing it, so it's definitely, the fact that I can release an in-depth lyric book and people care about that, it's pretty phenomenal for me. Phenomenal. The fact that enough people care about that. So I'm very, a lot of gratitude there.
Yeah, that's amazing. The last thing I want to hit on was the idea that your child has seen you play many times now.
Yeah, he can't stand it. He's over it.
Well, I was going to say, I was like, how does he react to kind of like,
No, he's gone through different emotions. It's way too long. First of all, that's what he says.
Got it.
Yeah, the songs are way too long, which I'm sure other people agree.
Right.
But yeah, he just, I don't know. It's weird because he's been coming to shows since, right after he was born. I mean, we have pictures of him, when he was a little baby.
Sure.
So I mean, it's definitely something he's kind of grown up with, but I don't think in his mind it's like a cool thing.
Okay.
I don't think he's like, man, my dad's cool. He's in a
right.
I think he loves the all the secondary stuff, like the dressing room and the clubs before people are in. He can run around and
just hang out.
And we have a phenomenal bunch of guys with us that help him show how the lights are set up or how to plug in a cable, and different things. He gets all this cool experience. Kind of
sure.
He's sold merch before,
right?
Like,
he's got a bunch of like aunts and uncles that are
which is awesome. And we're very lucky that he's with people that I don't have to worry about. Like, are they doing sketchy shit or is like someone getting drunk? It's like I can let him go off and sell merch with our dude, and
it's
he gets
totally cool.
It's really cool. So he really loves all that stuff, like the bus, and I try to get him like Hot Wheels on the rider every time he's on tour. So he
That's so much
but
fun.
now he expects it. So he's like, "Where's my car?"
You're like, sorry, but
it's like, dude, you have too many cars.
Yeah, but, you're good.
But the actual show, he's like 2 songs in, he either falls asleep or, but he just gets on his iPad and plays Red Ball or whatever. Yeah.
Roblox. Yeah. Well, that's that. I just am always curious because it's like kids, like because ostensibly the idea of playing in a band is cool, and obviously the idea that you should not like what your parents do, like just that juxtaposition. But it's like, it's funny because still, like, he's just like, oh, okay, music's whatever. But it's like all this other stuff, like, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
So it's cool that at least there's positive attached to it, as opposed to just like, oh, I just don't like my dad's band. That's fine.
Yeah. Oh, he loves coming on tour.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I always wonder, like, because he's never really shown a lot of interest to play anything. He likes music a lot. Like, he's kind of found his own stuff he likes, which I love. That he's done that, but there still hasn't been like, Dad, I want to play guitar. Dad, I want to play drums, and I don't want to force him. I don't want to be like,
totally.
You need to do this or that. So,
find your own thing, man. Yeah.
So, but I love having him on the road, and
that's cool.
Met a lot of really cool people. That I think when you get it's crazy. Some of the people he's met, I'm like, dude, you were like 5 and you hung out with these bands, and
totally,
it's cool to think about.
Yeah, and you're gonna look back and be like, oh, it's meaningless right now, but like, in a couple of years, you'll be like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we got to do this again, Tom.
Yeah, me too, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
That was great. I loved it. Tommy is just not only is he a good friend, but he is just a great, insightful conversation. It's fun. It's invigorating. And after we had our interview, we had coffee for another 45 minutes. So always fun times, and I appreciate you coming on, Tommy. That was very enjoyable. And next week we've got Jimmy Chang, who played guitar in Catharsis for a little bit, played in Undying, currently plays in Sect. He is a lifer, as they call it. He is just a really cool dude. Only met him once, but felt like I have known him because I've consumed his music for such a long period of time. So we get into it, and it was cool because he has a lot of different experiences with a lot of different bands, and I think in our discussion we talk about the idea of like being a lifer, where it's just like, oh yeah, a job is a job or whatever, but I'm just going to be focusing on my kind of creative output, and whatever it takes for me to do that, like, I'll do it, and it's fine. It was just a great discussion. So thank you very much for this week. Thank you very much to Bridge 9 for supporting the show. And of course, I will talk to you next week like I always do. Be safe, everybody.
Hi there, I'm Zach Braff.
And I'm Donald Faison.
We're real-life best friends, but we met playing fake life best friends, Turk and JD, on the sitcom Scrubs.
20 years later, we've decided to rewatch the series one episode at a time and put our memories into a podcast you can listen to at home.
We're going to get all our special guest friends like Sarah Chalk, John C. McGinley, Neil Flynn, Judy Reyes.
Show creator Bill Lawrence, editors, writers, and even prop masters will tell us about what inspired the series and how we became a family.
You can listen to the podcast Fake Doctors, Real Friends with Zach and Donald on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, it's Elvis Duran. Just like you, I love listening to podcasts. Sort of like you're doing right now, right? But after you finish, when you're ready to hear the hits, I invite you to check out Z100, New York's #1 hit music station. We play the biggest songs from the biggest stars, like The Weeknd, Ed Sheeran, and Doja Cat. Listen live on Z100 in New York or wherever you are on our iHeartRadio app.